He works so hard. I used to say, because he's really working for all of us. Yeah. And the jeopardy, I mean, his business was put in jeopardy, tremendous jeopardy. He had a great business, and it was put in jeopardy. He gave up so much. But I'm just telling you that he has my complete and total endorsement. What I'm doing is saying this is a great Republican and a great person. I hope you get out. When is it, Archie? When is it? When is your August 11th? And I have a perfect record. Don't make me blow my record. You know that, so I have a perfect record of endorsements. But I'm just telling you, as much as I can endorse somebody, that because this man gave up his life to do this, and he's a great person, and he didn't have to do it, and he worked, actually, I shouldn't say this. And it's true, he worked as hard as anybody that I've ever seen.
Voters are heading to the polls today in Minnesota, and one of the biggest races to watch is the Republican primary for governor. President Trump has endorsed Mike Lindell, who is going into Election Day ahead in the polls. Let's start off with YouTuber and Minnesota resident Neil Johnson today. Neil, good to see you. I've been following your YouTube page and everything going on in Minnesota. What are you hearing on the ground in that state today?
Well, we've got, there's actually, I mean, it's not just the governor. We've got a state senate. So Klobuchar gave up her Senate seat to run for governor. I don't know if there was some backroom deal there. Tim Walz, absolute failure. I was really hoping that Tim Walz would stay in the race because then it would make it, an easier victory come November, because Amy Klobuchar will be tough to beat in Minnesota. We still have unaddressed issues of voter fraud too, especially in Hennepin County. So, yeah, so right now it looks like, Mike and Lisa Dameth are the top two in the polls there. Those polls have tightened in the last couple days, but then you have Michelle Tafoya, Adam Schwartzy, Royce White for Senate, and it does look like Michelle Tafoya is probably going to run away with that. I was kind of in the Schwartzy camp there. Yeah, and it looks like Keith Ellison may actually be in trouble this year, which would be great to see him go. But we have Minnesota. You have to understand, everybody thinks we're as blue can get, but the margins have never been that big for these Democrats. And we are not too long ago, we had a two-term governor, Tim Pawlenty, who was a Republican. And before Tim Pawlenty, it was a two-term governor, Arnie Carlson, who was a Republican. So we're not that far removed from Republicans holding statewide offices. Secretary of State used to be a gal by the name of Mary Kiffmeyer, another Republican. So yeah, I mean, we're not that far removed from that. There is a lot of fraud. I mean, if you remember Ilhan Omar and the ballots coming out of the trunk, that was James O'Keefe uncovered that. So there's that, and this goes back to, you can go to the election of Al Franken, which gave us the deciding vote for Obamacare. His came after 3 recounts and finding ballots in a trunk, actually up on the Iron Range, northern Minnesota, where I'm from. So Minnesota's got an interesting and colorful history, but nonetheless, Mike has been at the top. That has tightened in the last few days, so we'll see what happens today. That's where things are at here on the ground in Minnesota.
You're talking about ballots being found in a trunk, and just last week and also this week we had Rick Weibel with Mike Lindell's his campaign on the show. They have uncovered sample ballots there in Minnesota that could be used to vote. Going to barcodes, don't have the word sample written on the front, and so they're saying that these sample ballots could be used in the machine. So the fraud there is unbelievable. But if anyone can get a handle on it and watch it and try to stop it before it happens, is Mike Lindell, because that's what he does.
Yeah, the calls Mike has made about voter fraud and how he has given up his life for that has been amazing. And I think if you go back, I was at the original pillow symposium, we call it, but it was the cyber symposium, that the mainstream media called it the pillow symposium, but the cyber symposium back in South Dakota. And, when I was there, uh, and there were so many people, I mean, the whole election integrity movement, almost everybody who was in that was there at that time. But I'm not going to say that every single benchmark was right that we found along the way, leads that we chased. But the story itself of fraud is correct. And you can look at and they did this multiple ways. I looked up, I think it was 2 days after the election back in 2020, 5 dead voters in Michigan. There was a guy, he was on a platform called Knitter, I think because he'd been banned off of Twitter. It was just obscure video. And he was like, hey, look at this. I mean, I can look up these dead voters. So I actually logged into the Michigan Secretary of State website, looked up those names. These were people who had died in the 1980s. Okay, some of them, early 2000s, whatever. They were voting. And the worst of it was, Vanessa, that some of these people had ordered ballots on, let's say, November 1st, and they had voted on October 31st. So there must have been such a mad scramble to enter data to back up these ballots that they couldn't even get those right. Then there was Michael Spitzer Rubenstein of CTCL, Mark Zuckerberg, Facebook Money, having 4 of the 5 keys to the ballrooms where the ballots are stored in Green Bay, Wisconsin, and also having his own private server. And I just go on and on. I mean, all of the things that we uncovered and we saw. And my great hope is that we finally get some prosecutions out of that. But it is very hard. That is a hard crime to actually track the specifics of, because we cast a secret ballot. And we don't ever want to give up the secret ballot. But this is where your mail-in votes, once those votes go in, they're not attached to that envelope anymore. So, who actually voted? Who did they vote for? So then once you prove that people voted fraudulently, you don't know who they voted for because there's no name attached to the ballot.
Right.
It's frustrating.
It is frustrating, and it's very hard to track down. You're absolutely right. The American people are wanting arrests. They know that the fraud is there and the fraud is being made, but how do you track these people down? When it comes back to all of the fraud, Minnesota is on the front lines when it comes to fraud, whether it's with voting, whether it's with healthcare. So much fraud being uncovered in Minnesota. Nick Shirley, that was his first place, Neil, to really make a name for himself, to cover all of the Somali fraud going on there in the state. Then you had your ICE protests going on in Minneapolis for weeks on end. And then you have these Democrats who they are in office with all of this going on under the helm. Why would anyone in Minnesota want to continue this? I mean, the people of Minnesota should go to work every day. They're working hard. They're trying to provide for their families, putting food on the table for their families, sending them off to school, whatever the case may be, making ends meet. And you have all of this fraud going on. Surely they want to change, Neil.
Well, Vanessa, what do they call that? Stockholm syndrome or whatever. I was down there. I was live streaming from those protests, the ICE protests. I was at the Renee Good shooting site, right, where Renee Good had tried to ram the ICE agent and had gotten shot. Well, I talk to people. I mean, I'm actually interested in people, so I go down there and I'm just asking questions. I mean, in a non-confrontational way, just making friends and getting them to open up. And I keep seeing those memes where they cross out the number 1 and go back to 0 of days without Minnesota being a national embarrassment, because that seems to be there is, and I want people to understand, everybody thinks, oh my gosh, everybody thinks that this fraud should be done away with. And there's some of these people who just don't. I don't know how to tell you this. You go down into South Minneapolis, and where those ICE protests were going on, and there's a neighborhood down there. I think that's the Powderhorn Park where they had this. There was a guy who had raped a young woman, and they sheltered him. The police couldn't get to him because the neighborhood sheltered him. And I believe he was illegal as well. I have to go back and look up that exact story, but I just remember going at the time, they're sheltering this guy. These people, they talk about toxic empathy. You've never seen like it with some of these blue hairs in Minnesota. And when I was down there at that the ICE protest, I have to tell you that at least people always think, well, it's these young people out raising Cain or whatever. The bulk of the people at that particular protest, that particular day, were all older. Now, I understand that at night you get a lot of these younger folks that come out and everything and, throw Molotov cocktails and whatever. We saw that with the George Floyd riots and everything. But there is I live up on the Iron Range. There are people up here who are conservative in their mind, and they are completely liberal when they vote. And you talk to them, and they're like, "Well, that's just how my parents voted. That's how I've always voted." It doesn't make any sense, Vanessa. I don't. I mean, so I always wonder what is the percentage that a Republican has to win by to actually beat the fraud. And then what does that look like? But don't kid yourself and think that Minnesota is like these people are figments of your imagination. They're out there on social media and they're bots. Now, some of them are very real, folks. I mean, I talk to them daily. It's just what is in Minnesota. I would think that they would be concerned about that fraud, but some of them are not. They're concerned about Trump building a ballroom at the White House.
Right. I mean, it's Trump derangement syndrome. And these people will let this go on in their communities. They'll let this go on in their state, all because they don't like Trump. And it just, I'll never understand it. But, you would think that you want to live in a safe community and get these illegals out of there. You would think that if I have to work and pay my own bills, that you would expect everyone else in the community to do the same. They're okay with the fraud going on, all because they don't like Trump. But I hope the majority of Minnesota today gets out and votes the correct way. We've been following closely, obviously, Mike Lindell, Philip Parrish on his ticket for lieutenant governor. Great team there. You can see a picture of them both. They were both at Bedminster together when President Trump made his speech that we just saw at the beginning of the show. Mike Lindell has also, we showed this yesterday, he has given and released his budget blueprint. If you're on social media, you can go to Mike Lindell's page to read that if you live in Minnesota. Again, the polls that we've been seeing shows Mike Lindell in the lead. However, like Neil just said, in the last couple of days, it's getting really tight. So we need everyone to get out and vote. Mike Lindell says it. President Trump says it. We'll also say it. Make it too big to rig. You can also go to the Secretary of State's website. If you're unsure of where to vote, you can go type in your address there and it'll tell you which polling location to go to. So make sure if you have a loved one in Minnesota, now is the time to make sure that, again, everyone gets out and votes. Make your voices heard. Neil, I know you talk to a lot of people every day. You have over 200,000 subscribers to your YouTube channel, and you cover Minnesota in depth. I know I asked you at the top, but I want to talk about it a little more. We can see what people are saying on social media. You talked about the bots. There are a lot of bots out there, a lot of people who don't live in the state, but the people on the ground, the people who are actually voting today, what is concerning them most? What do they want to see changed?
Well, interestingly enough, I talked to some county workers because I teach group cycle, and so I was able to, I know a number of county workers up here, either through that class or just through knowing them, and a lot of them are actually concerned about the fraud. So I want to put that, and if you talk to anybody who's right-leaning, that is their biggest issue, is the fraud. and it should be. I mean, we're talking upwards to $19 billion. Some reports say even more, some say less, but let's just take the mid number of $19 billion of fraud. We are taxed ridiculously. When you get to the highest income tax bracket in the state of Minnesota, we're one of the top 3 most taxed states in the nation. And that changes year to year. And people used to talk about in Minnesota, if you go back to, let's say, the 90s, and people would talk about, well, we get good services. And ultimately there was some truth to that. I mean, our schools were top performing schools. We are now at the bottom of the schools. So the education is a big issue here in Minnesota. It is something that people are concerned about. But the schools say we need to give them more money. But the problem is every time you give the school money, we tend to see worse results, not better. And, I used to work in sales in corporate America. I could not go to the president of the company and say, hey, you give me more money and I'll sell more. It was always, no, you sell more and we'll give you more money. That's just how that works. Well, somehow our voting base in Minnesota thinks that they kind of lionize teachers and think, well, if we just give the schools more money, but the problem is that teachers aren't even getting that money. If people understand what's going on in the education system today, administration has taken over schools. That's where we're spending all that money. Every company in America has become an HR nightmare. But I mean, you go to the education system and you go to governance. I mean, how many people do we have working in the office per plow truck driver in Minnesota? So there's just a ton of waste. And it's not even the waste that's making the headlines, Vanessa. There is so much waste, fraud, and abuse just in the system in general, whether that's through giving people false promotions so they get more money. There's a lot of that goes on. I know a lot of people work in the state government system, and they talk to me about that all the time. So there is just, and that is still absolutely one of the biggest issues for Minnesota voters, is where did all this money go? Why are we being taxed so much? And then, for some people, it is illegals. Obviously, you have, the toxic empathy down there in Hennepin County and whatnot. But I mean, I was talking to a young man at the gym. He's looking at going out to Dearborn, Michigan on Tuesday, flying out there to go to a rally against the Islamification and illegals out there in, nationwide, but it's just happening in Dearborn because that's kind of a hotbed for that stuff. But this is a young man. He's probably 20 years old. I see him at the gym all the time. We talk, works out. And young men basically handed the election to Trump last election cycle. It is young men again who are looking at doing these types of things and saving the nation again. And really, they did. Young men saved the nation last election. That's the big story out of last election. So it depends on which group you're talking to. You go to the seniors, the blue hairs that have been in Minnesota forever and always voted blue. Their biggest concern is Donald Trump. But normal people, that's not the case.
Normal, sane individuals who do our homework and know that he's trying to get rid of the fraud. And we're trying to get rid of the people who are encouraging the fraud and then turning a blind eye to the fraud. Today's the day to make a change in Minnesota. Yes. If you live in the state, if you have family in the state, if you have friends in the state, make sure they go out and vote. We have to put an end to it once and for all. And this is the time to do so. Neil, I appreciate you stopping by today. I appreciate everything that you do. For everyone at home, go follow him, subscribe on YouTube, Lumberjack Logic. I'm going to take some advice from you. Your page is very good and always very insightful as well. So if you're not subscribed to his page, make sure you go do so. Neil, good to have you on the show today, and good luck to everyone there in Minnesota.
Thanks, Vanessa.
Thank you. Well, Mike Lindell's heart is big. He helps everyone he meets, and that's the truth. It's the people's stories that are truly inspiring, all the people that he's met and helped along the way. Here's one woman we want to show you this morning.
Hey guys, Abby Johnson here. I am the author of the book Unplanned and also the subject of the film Unplanned. And I just pulled up to my house and I'm about to go inside to my home with my husband and 8 children. But I pull out my phone and I'm thinking I'll check my email before I walk in, right? Like a lot of us do. And I see an email from a woman, and it says that she watched my film Unplanned. That really, I mean, it was the first film of its kind to really expose what's taking place inside of the abortion industry and expose abortion for just how sick and sinister and evil it is. And she was ready to have an abortion. She was scheduled to have an abortion, but she watched Unplanned, and she is now choosing life for her baby. And I mean, praise God, right? But what you may not know is that Unplanned would not have happened. It would have not gone into theaters. It would not have been the success that it has been without my friend and coworker, Mike Lindell. So we were in the 11th hour, okay? We had gotten, quite a bit of funding for the film, but we still were short. And we were short quite a bit, okay? More than I had in my checking account, I can tell you that. And a phone call was made by the directors to my friend Mike. And I didn't know Mike at the time. He knew of my story and everything, but we didn't know each other. And they said, look, Mike, buddy, we've got this film. This woman worked at Planned Parenthood, blah, blah, blah. They tell him my story, and they said, this is going to save lives. Without a shadow of a doubt, God is going to use this film to save babies, to save lives, to protect women from the ravages of abortion. And I mean, without hesitation, he said, yeah, I'll give you whatever you need. I'll give you the money. And so if you watch Unplanned, you'll actually see a cameo of Mike in the film. But I mean, I believe 100% that God called Mike Lindell into the work, right? Into the pro-life movement to help end abortion. And he did it. And one of the ways he did it was in partnering with us on the film Unplanned. And I believe Unplanned, I mean, humbly, because of God's grace, because of just the miraculous nature of God, I believe that Unplanned was one of the reasons that Roe v. Wade was overturned. But anyway, I wanted to share that with you because I wanted to just share with you just the amazing gift of Mike Lindell, his passion for life, his passion for the unborn, and just his humbleness to just always say yes. When God prompts, Mike says yes. And so I hope you will continue to stand with Mike in this fight for life so that we can one day change this culture from a culture of death into a culture of life.
Just one of many stories of Mike Lindell and the people he has helped his entire life. Mike Lindell is a man of the people and for the people. Again, get out and vote. Polls are open. We will have full election coverage when polls close tonight here on Lindell TV. Now to Michigan, another state where watching a Senate race that could shape the balance of power in Washington. Abdul El-Sayed faces public scrutiny. He's the Democratic choice to be on the ballot in November. Let's bring in Craig DeRouche now, former Michigan House Speaker. Craig, good to have you on the show. Thanks so much for stopping by. What is happening in Michigan? El-Sayed, he narrowly won his primary, but his background and his past affiliations, they're pretty worrisome. It has everyone talking. What can you tell us?
Well, I can tell you it's a big deal. It's not a small deal because I think the Democratic Party has harbored people that hate God, hate America, in whatever order you want to propose that. And they've tried to keep them quiet since Joe the plumber with Barack Obama letting the socialist, angle slip. They said, knock it off. Don't say that out loud. And now they feel, for whatever reason, your show talks a lot about it, the Trump derangement syndrome. They say, why don't we tell them what our heart is? Our heart, not just our worldview, not just our ideology. And this El-Sayed won, so it might depress people. But a lot of us think it's a very good thing that they're telling the truth. We think it makes them unelectable. We think that this party should not have been apologizing for terrorists, for supporting the hatred of the Jewish religion and Jewish race. And that's what's on the ballot in Michigan now with this Abdul al-Said. And I can tell you, it's changing a lot of people that traditionally vote Democratic in the Democratic Party to open up and start looking now. It's a transformation that's happening.
Well, that's good news to hear this morning that Democrats are starting to open their eyes. When we were just talking to Neil Johnson over in Minnesota, the Democrats haven't, most of them haven't yet opened their eyes yet. But in Michigan, we're hoping that's the case. This man is dangerous. He has, a past that everyone should be concerned about moving into the future. Let's talk about his role in the Muslim Students Association. What can you talk about that?
Well, this is a guy who is, by affiliate, he's trying to dismiss it now in saying things that he said. Let's go back to what he said about 9/11. That America deserved it. And he runs around with this Hassan Piker guy who says that this was the biggest attack on America since, Pearl Harbor. 3,000 Americans lost their lives. These were moms and dads, brothers and sisters, kids. Some of them had to jump to their death to escape the flames and things like this. And he thinks that was some sort of a political talking point to get clicks. And now that he's the Senate nominee, he says, well, that was ill-advised or some dismissive thing like that. No, it was a lot more than that. If you can't denounce that and attack on our way of life, you're telegraphing to people where your hatred actually is. And then we hear about these affiliations with these groups that he has, just like with Hassan Piker. He's trying to say, well, I will, like Barack Obama did, say that my thing that Joe, the plumber, was ill-advised of me to say, youthful indiscretion. But then he continues to hang out. And if you look at the people that he hangs out with, these school groups, these other organizing groups, sure, they have a religious name attached to them. So did the KKK. They had crosses and things like that. There wasn't anything to do with the religion. This is a hatred of America, and it's organized. It's absolutely organized. And the hope that we can find is that people wake up and they see this, because the people that voted for him turned out probably 100%. These radical socialists, these people that hate America in Michigan. But the turnout of the election was a fraction of a fraction, just like what happened in Brooklyn of Michiganders. So the antidote, just like you talking about in Minnesota, is for people who love God and love America to wake up and to start doing their civic duty and participate in elections. Guess what? Somebody can't cast your ballot for you if you've already casted it yourself, right? The writing has been on the wall for a long time. It's our 250th year. If you love America, you should love it enough to show up and participate. That's what we say at Family Policy Alliance.
And you just talked about, his, vaguely touched on it, his narrow primary victory. What does that reveal about the Democratic Party there in Michigan, where they're headed?
They're headed into the gutter. I mean, you can't get more guttural, more filth than the issues that this guy talked about. He talked about, really, he attacked the religious liberty of an entire religion, Judaism, in America. The Attorney General in Michigan says that she feels unsafe to go to a Democratic Party convention. Understand the magnitude of that. That isn't because of her hair color. That isn't because of her gender. It isn't because of a position that she's taken on an issue. That's because of the hatred for her religion. So religious liberty is on the ballot in Michigan. It was on the ballot. And the people that showed up that vote in the Democratic Party, that's what your question is. What's going on with the Democratic Party is it's intolerance and it's hatred and it's bigotry. And it's pointed at the greatness of America and the fact that we support religious liberty in America, that we support all religions, and they can't tolerate that.
You're absolutely right. There's an attack on Christianity in America, the Jewish community, and this Muslim outreach that's going on, this organized development that you mentioned. it seems to be becoming more and more prominent. When it comes to Al Sayed, there's a historical relationship between the Muslim Students Association and the Muslim Brotherhood. Why does that matter today?
Well, it matters because the Muslim Brotherhood and these other student organizations are funded internationally. These are funded by people that hate America, and what they're using their money for. There's a saying in the Bible from Christ that you can't serve money and God at the same time. You'll love one and despise the other. And these kids are being drenched in, funded by people that know that the American system is soft, because you can come in, if you can't directly fund a campaign, and you can't, you can go in and you can directly fund the rising generation of people and pervert their views with money when they're the most vulnerable. And that should scare people. I mean, you talked about Hassan, or Abdul El Said being a dangerous man. You know what you're quoting right there when you say that? He quotes that he's a dangerous man, right? That's literally out of the guy's own mouth. And we should take him seriously on that. And we should be looking into these things of what's going on. People don't like America, and they know they can't beat us militarily, and they're making massive investments with foreign money to take down America in things like these college clubs. It doesn't stop with just Islamic clubs. And like I said, it's not even an Islamic club. If it's out there saying like transgenderism is the future and abortion up to birth, that's not represented in the Quran. These are people that just hate America. We need to keep it simple, out there what they're doing, and it's foreign money, and we should be taking it seriously.
If this should concern you even more, and not that what we've just talked about isn't a problem, look who's endorsed him. Kamala Harris. So that tells you everything you need to know about this guy. Bad news here. So that's what we're up against in Michigan. Let's talk about the Republican side now. You have Mike Rogers. He is a stronger candidate. What's it looking like for him in this state?
It's looking like a win. I'll tell you what, I've known former Representative Mike Rogers for, coming up on 30 years now. I'm getting old. I was the Speaker of the House in Michigan in 2004. He was in Congress. He came up just a couple of years before that in Congress. And you got this really steady, good guy leader, the kind that both parties talk about. Now, he's not a squishy middle guy. He's a guy that holds what I call social conservative values. He protects life. He protects guns. He loves God. He sees through these lies about for the LGBTQ ideology, the climate changers, all the rest of it. But he says it in a really humble way. He has a record of winning. He actually won his district in a swing seat that included Michigan State University. So you have a really talented politician, an articulate politician, and he's getting support now from mainstream Democrats that are rushing to Mike Rogers because he's earned that. So it's actually that's what I'm saying. If you look at for people that are concerned, and I can't wait to see what happens in Minnesota, but this El Said, he didn't win 50-50 statewide. He won where he got nearly 100% turnout of these radical socialists in these pockets. Understand that. In the rest of the state, the Democratic primary voters didn't show up hardly at all. So when the rest of the Democratic Party people come in, take one of them, people say, like, what are you talking about? Look at the city of Detroit. Look at the black church. They're not going to switch over, and they voted in very low numbers. So when they show up in high numbers, they're not going to be voting for El Said. And it bodes very well for Mike Rogers to win the U.S. Senate, which really makes the Senate out of reach for the Democratic Party in this election cycle. So Michigan is becoming very consequential.
Absolutely. We're going to continue to keep an eye out there and hope for the best there in Michigan. And I know we'll be talking to you a lot more heading into November as we just count down the days until the midterms. Let's talk about Family Policy Alliance and what your group does for standing for families, American families.
Well, we believe that the future is going to be decided by who shows up. And Family Policy Alliance does this unique thing where we actually mobilize Christians. We're the most effective mobilizer of Christians. We had 850,000 people we mobilized in 2024, and we got a 92% turnout, folks. That's what we're talking about. Christians right now in America vote less often than welfare and Medicaid recipients. That's according to a poll by George Barna at Arizona Christian. And so Family Policy Alliance takes voters that don't normally show up, goes through the church. We have 40 state groups. We have a wonderful family policy council there, Minnesota Family. And we mobilize. That's the front door to activity. It's a stewardship and a trust. God gave us this country, gave us Minnesota, gave you your school district, your city. And even if you homeschool, your money and your power is being transferred into what's going on in this school. So you have to be a steward of those bags of gold, those talents that God gave you. You have to invest your time enough to vote in that. And so if you come to familypolicyalliance.com and you join us, we will give you the reminders to vote and help you where to vote. And like I said, if you've cast your own ballot, nobody else can cast it for you, right? You want to own that ballot, and you want to do that through your church, and you want to share that with people. And we're seeing a huge upswing. And so we hope your listeners join us so we can help transform Minnesota and our entire country through participation.
Absolutely. Well, that is the website again, familypolicyalliance.com. Everyone go check it out. You're right. If you vote, no one else can vote for you. Craig, always a pleasure to have you on the show. Thanks for coming on today.
Thank you, Vanessa. Great to see you.
You too. Todd Blanche has officially been sworn in as the new Attorney General of the United States. President Trump selected Blanche to take over the Justice Department following the departure of former Attorney General Pam Bondi. Blanche is now the nation's top law enforcement official overseeing the Justice Department and its federal agencies. President Trump is making major changes to the nation's childhood vaccine recommendations. He has signed an executive order. He did so yesterday, directing federal health officials to establish what the White House calls a gold standard childhood vaccine schedule. The administration says the new approach will focus on 11 core childhood immunizations while moving vaccines, including COVID-19, flu, and hepatitis B, away from universal recommendations and toward more individualized guidance.
For long and far too long, a long period of time, America's recommended more childhood vaccines than any peer nation, and even twice as many doses as some European countries, and even more than that. In many cases, we were requiring 72 jabs for our beautiful, healthy, lovely, delicate little children, including giving the hepatitis B shot to infants and newborns on top of many other vaccinations. The hepatitis B shouldn't be given until they are 14 or 15 years old. They were given early. Effective immediately, my administration is recognizing gold standard childhood vaccine recommendations for only 11 core vaccinations against the most serious and dangerous diseases, along with the MMR, which hopefully will be split up. You have the MMR. We want it in 3 separate vaccinations given at separate times. Together, there could be a possibility they're quite lethal, and separately, it looks like they are not at all lethal, but just very effective. So the MMR, we want to have separate visits, separate times. The vaccine being broken into 3 separate single doses, and vaccines being administered in separate visits. For example, at 1 year, you should have 5 separate visits for vaccines rather than getting them all in the same day. And I saw this early on, and I've seen proof of it, where they have a vaccination thing, looks like the size of a bottle of soda, poured into a little child's body. And bad things happen in many cases, in too many cases, because this is an explosion, this is an epidemic. So at year 1, you should have 5 separate visits for vaccines rather than giving them all in the same day. Very importantly, vaccinations for hepatitis B, COVID-19, and influenza, among others, are no longer recommended for all children. In addition, this executive order directs the Attorney General to advance legal challenges against states that violate children's rights to religious or medical vaccination exemptions for the exemptions.
The order also calls for greater parental choice and a review of state vaccine requirements, including mandates tied to school attendance. These changes give parents more control over your child's health care. And when it comes to food, Secretary Kennedy is making more announcements, some changes he's making in the MAHA movement. We'll tell you all about that when we come back.
Parents should not need a chemistry degree to understand what their children are eating. Americans deserve real transparency. They deserve real food. And that brings me back to grass. When I came to HHS, I asked the FDA, how many ingredients do we have in our food? And they said they didn't know. They said it could be 4,000. It could be 12,000. It's probably somewhere around 10,000. Think about that. We don't even know exactly how many chemicals are in the food that Americans eat every day. And the food industry continues to develop novel compounds and chemical combinations that do not exist in nature.
MyPillow's second annual mega sale is finally here. Get our patented premium MyPillows that adjust your exact individual needs to give you the best sleep of your life.
When I got MyPillow, I'm asleep almost immediately. I stay asleep at night and I wake up more well-rested in the morning.
I guarantee they're going to be the most comfortable pillows you'll ever own. King size only $24.98, queen size only $19.98. Giza Dream bed sheets, the best sheets in history, as low as $29.98. Lux Pierce 6-piece towel sets, towels that actually dry you. What a concept. Now only $39.98. And our made in the USA mattresses and mattress toppers as low as $99.98. So go to mypillow.com or call the number on your screen. Use your promo code to take advantage of our second annual mega sale. Plus, free shipping options available when you order today. So don't delay, order now.
Welcome to Vocal, the free speech social app that gives you a platform to amplify your voice. Speak freely, connect boldly, and be part of a growing movement for truth, faith, and freedom. Want to know what's happening right now? The Now Playing feature shows you exactly who's live and what's streaming in real time. Check out the show's feed, a non-stop lineup including LINDELLTV News 24/7, shows and on-demand programming all in one place. Connect with your favorite host and never miss a show. Explore the featured page for quick access to LINDELLTV's top shows. Follow your favorites and watch their newest content flow right into your feed. And when they go live on Vocal, you can join the live chat and be part of the action. Ask questions, share your thoughts, even help shape future shows. Stay informed on issues around securing our elections by following your state's Cause of America account. Join a group and connect on a deeper level, from faith and freedom to the future of our nation. Go to vocal.com or download the app today and be a part of the mission to save our country.
Welcome back to My Mornings. Robert F. Kennedy has announced 2 major food policy actions as part of the MAHA agenda. The FDA is proposing that food companies be required to notify the government and provide safety information when introducing ingredients. Now, currently, companies don't have to notify the FDA. Kennedy also announcing action aimed at ultra-processed foods. Listen.
I know that many of you remember August 23rd, 2024. And on that day, President Trump and I promised that we would make America healthy again. We promised to transform our food systems and confront one of the most powerful drivers of America's chronic disease crisis. Almost exactly 2 years later, we're here celebrating the most transformative 18 months of food reform in modern American history. And today, we're taking 2 more historic steps to deliver on that promise that we made 2 years ago. First, we're overhauling the generally recognized as safe and the GRAS standards for that and the entire GRAS framework. We're proposing a rule that would end the practice of companies making GRAS determinations without notifying the FDA. The proposal will give the agency greater visibility into the substances that are entering our food supply. Second, alongside my friend and colleague, Agricultural Secretary Brooke Rollins, we submitted for final review the federal government's first definition of ultra-processed foods. These 2 actions will change how the federal government oversees what's in our food and how we understand the foods that Americans eat. Nearly 60% of American diet is made up of ultra-processed foods. For our kids, it can be up to 70%. Obesity now affects more than 1 in 5 American children, and more than 70% of American adults are obese or overweight. The costs are spiritual, physical, and financial. America spends nearly $5 trillion a year on health care, far more than any nation in the world, and we have the worst health outcomes. We remain the world's sickest country. 90% of those expenditures are for people with chronic disease and mental health conditions, many of them food-induced. We cannot spend our way out of a chronic disease epidemic while ignoring the things that are making Americans sick. Food is the most powerful weapon that we have in our arsenal to change the trajectory of the chronic disease epidemic. Parents should not need a chemistry degree to understand what their children are eating. Americans deserve real transparency. They deserve real food.
Shouldn't have to have a chemistry degree. This is all part of a broader effort to increase transparency about what is in our food supply and strengthen federal oversight on ingredients. When we come back, again, all eyes are on Minnesota today. President Trump's pick for governor, Mike Lindell. More in our News to Go segment. Also, as a reminder, follow me on social media. You can like and subscribe to all of my channels. They're listed on your screen, as well as Facebook. You can also go to VanessaBroussard.com to subscribe to my newsletter. Never miss any news on my social media and through my newsletter. Stay with us.
And like everybody else out there, I have used my arm, folded my pillows, got migraines in the morning from sleeping on poor pillows, and pillows are the problem. There is no bigger problem than a pillow. My patented fill adjusts to your exact individual needs, and it holds that support all night long to take the pressure off your shoulders and keep your neck aligned. One's the size of a quarter, one's the size of a dime, and one's the size of down. Inside every pillow, they're interlocked together. You see how that holds?
Oh my gosh.
That
It's
will
soft,
not
but
migrate.
supportive.
Wherever you set percent that you get exactly what you need for your individual neck support. I do all of my own manufacturing in my home state of Minnesota, and every part of my pillow is made in the USA. It's machine washable and dryable, and it comes with my 60-day money-back guarantee and a full 10-year warranty. Sleep is one of the most important things to your health, and my pillow is one of the most important things to your sleep.
So go to mypillow.com or call 800-676-2147. Use promo code LTV to take advantage of this exclusive Lindell TV offer. Order now.
Mike Lindell here. The radical left and the deep state aren't just coming for our freedoms, they're coming after our money too. For years, they've been destroying our economy from the inside out with reckless spending, open borders, woke policies that crush our businesses. And now they've left us with an inflation disaster that's wiping out the savings of our hardworking families. They don't want us to be independent. They want us to be dependent on the government. Well, that's not going to happen on my watch. That's why I partner with American Independence Gold. It's a veteran-owned company that's helping patriotic Americans fight back by protecting our savings with real physical gold and silver. And right now, they're giving away up to $15,000 in free silver and a free gold IRA kit. A portion of all the profits go to 9/11 first responders and veterans at the Tunnels to Towers Foundation. The deep state can't touch your gold, so visit MikeLindellGold.com or call 844-714-4653 right now. That's MikeLindellGold.com. Take back control. Well, hello, everyone. Well, I'm turning 65, and let me tell you, Medicare has me confused. All the junk mail and the robocalls and everything else, it honestly feels like they rigged the system just to confuse us. Well, that's why I partnered and working with Chapter. They're independent, and they don't work for big insurance. They work for us. In fact, they're the only advisor that compares every single plan nationwide to find what actually fits your needs. If you're on the right plan, they tell you. If you're not, they're going to help you switch. And it's completely free. Just last year, seniors saved about $1,100 by finding a better plan with Chapter. So call Chapter at 234-LINDELL or go to askchapter.org/Lindell.
Let's take a look at Wall Street. Opening bell numbers, a live look from MarketWatch.com. We're paying close attention to the Dow, the S&P 500, and the NASDAQ. The main focus today is inflation. Investors are awaiting the July Consumer Price Index, and they're also watching rising oil prices, two factors that could help shape the Federal Reserve's next move. Right now, the Dow is up, the S&P 500 and NASDAQ are down at this time. In your news to go as you start your day, polls are open in Minnesota. A reminder to vote today. Mike Lindell is running for governor. He is endorsed by President Trump. Polls close tonight at 8 p.m. Central Time, with results expected to begin coming in shortly after. We will have coverage right here tonight on Lindell TV. Make sure you're tuned in. We have Allison Steinberg on the ground in Minnesota. She will be giving us live play-by-plays from Mike Lindell's watch party. So make sure you are tuned in for the very latest from Minnesota tonight. Also, here's President Trump's schedule for today at 8 o'clock this morning. He had an executive meeting at 11 and 1:30. He will hold policy meetings, then another one at 2:30. After that, he will board Air Force One en route to Ohio, where he will attend the finale of the Patriot Games. After the games, he will head back to Washington, D.C. As always, make sure you're following us on social media and online at LINDELLTV.com for all your news updates throughout the day. And never miss a newscast here in the mornings. Watch anywhere you are on the go on the Lindell TV app. It's free in your app store, also on your phones and on your tablets. We leave you today with our Bible verse of the day from the book of John. Jesus says, "This is eternal life, that they may know you, the only true God, and Jesus Christ, whom you have sent. And that'll do it for us here this morning. Thank you so much for joining us today. We'll see you all same time, same place tomorrow. We leave you today with more sights from Attorney General Todd Blanche's swearing-in ceremony. Have a great day.
MyPillow's second annual mega sale is finally here. Get our patented premium MyPillows that adjust to your exact individual needs to give you the best sleep of your life.
When I got my pillow, I'm asleep almost immediately. I stay asleep at night and I wake up more well-rested in the morning.
I guarantee they're going to be the most comfortable pillows you'll ever own. King size only $24.98, queen size only $19.98. Giza Dream bed sheets, the best sheets in history, as low as $29.98. Lux Pierce 6-piece towel sets, towels that actually dry you. What a concept. Now only $39.98. And our made in the USA mattresses and mattress toppers as low as $99.98. So go to mypillow.com or call the number on your screen. Use your promo code to take advantage of our second annual mega sale. Plus, free shipping options available when you order today. So don't delay, order now.
Welcome to Vocal, the free speech social app that gives you a platform to amplify your voice. Speak freely, connect boldly, and be part of a growing movement for truth, faith, and freedom. Want to know what's happening right now? The Now Playing feature shows you exactly who's live and what's streaming in real time. Check out the show's feed, a non-stop lineup including LINDELLTV News 24/7, shows and on-demand programming all in one place. Connect with your favorite host and never miss a show. Explore the featured page for quick access to LINDELLTV's top shows. Follow your favorites and watch their newest content flow right into your feed. And when they go live on Vocal, you can join the live chat and be part of the action. Ask questions, share your thoughts, even help shape future shows. Stay informed on issues around securing our elections by following your state's Cause of America account. Join a group and connect on a deeper level, from faith and freedom to the future of our nation. Go to vocal.com or download the app today and be a part of the mission to save our country.
And like everybody else out there, I have used my arm, folded my pillows, got migraines in the morning from sleeping on poor pillows, and pillows are the problem. There is no bigger problem than a pillow. My patented fill adjusts to your exact individual needs, and it holds that support all night long to take the pressure off your shoulders and keep your neck aligned. One's the size of a quarter, one's the size of a dime, and one's the size of down. inside every pillow. They're interlocked together. You see how that holds?
Oh my gosh.
That
It's
will
soft,
not
but
migrate.
supportive.
Wherever you set that, you get exactly what you need for your individual neck support. I do all of my own manufacturing in my home state of Minnesota, and every part of my pillow is made in the USA. It's machine washable and dryable, and it comes with my 60-day money-back guarantee and a full 10-year warranty. Sleep is one of the most important things to your health, and my pillow is one of the most important things to your sleep.
So go to mypillow.com or call 800-676-2147. Use promo code LTV to take advantage of this exclusive Lindell TV offer. Order now.
When you read one news source, you get one side. When you read two sources, you get an argument. Read 40 sources, and you get the truth. LindellReport.com, the only place you ever need to visit for your news. From Lindell TV, over 40 trusted outlets in one place. No editorial gatekeepers, no hidden bias. Just the day's news. Balanced, unfiltered, ready when you are. Whether you lean left, right, or straight down the middle.